Happy near holidays, everyone. I'm a little bit sick, so I don't have my normal gorgeous voice, but I really wanted to make sure to get out a video this week. So, today we're going to be looking at adherent apologetics with the mess of assumptions that is fine-tuning. Grab a drink, everyone, and let's begin.
This video is going to cover the first premise of the fine-tuning argument for the existence of God. So, the fine-tuning argument typically goes like this. Premise 1. The fine-tuning of the universe is either due to law, chance, or design. Premise 2. It is not due to law or chance. Premise 3. Therefore, the fine-tuning is due to design. So, the first part of this argument says that the universe is in fact fine-tuned, and it talks about the most likely explanations for why this fine-tuning occurs. So, the way we know that the universe is fine-tuned for life is that there are certain minimum requirements for life to exist.
From the very get-go, I have an issue with this. Why are you putting so much value on life? It isn't any more special than anything else in the universe. We are inherently biased toward it because we are alive. I get that. But let's look at the universe for a minute, yeah? Even just what we can actually see of the universe is 46 billion light years in any direction. Each light year is just what it sounds like how far light travels in a year, which would be nearly 6 trillion miles. And we can see 46 billion of these in any given direction. I don't know about you, but my head can't even handle the size of those numbers. And nearly of all that space that we can observe would be devastatingly hostile to life as we know it. Even on our cosmic dust speck we call Earth, 71% of the surface of the Earth is ocean, leaving us with only 29% of the surface to live on. What I'm saying is, if the universe is fine-tuned for life, then it's very poorly fine-tuned. Now I'm assuming here, by assuming you are placing a higher value on humans, since we can reason and probably for your God worship and whatnot. Otherwise, a greater percentage of the Earth supports life in general.
In order for these requirements to be met, the physical constants, for example gravity, and the ratios between these constants must fit within precise ranges. If these constants were outside of these given ranges, the universe would be inhospitable for life existing.
To the life we are familiar with existing. Who knows if the life that we know can be the only life that exists? Just because we see some particular forms of life doesn't mean that they are the only ones possible. Keep in mind that as organisms on Earth, our form and function are determined by our environment. So if our environment was vastly different and life was present, so too would our form and function be vastly different.
The constants mentioned when regarding fine-tuning are not predetermined physical laws, but rather constants that were determined when the universe came into existence.
By predetermined, I'm taking it to mean that those constants weren't required to have the value they did when the universe began. How do you know this? What other universes did you study? What beginnings of other universes did you see to gauge if different values could even be possible? Something tells me you didn't. Let's just call it intuition.
There are numerous examples of fine-tuning. For example, take the weak nuclear force constant. If it was larger, too much hydrogen would convert into helium at the Big Bang, and the stars would convert too much matter into the heavy elements, which would make life impossible for it to exist. If the constants were smaller, too little helium would be produced from the Big Bang, and stars would convert too little matter into heavy elements, making life, again, impossible.
If you change the value of a single constant, then yeah, it could result in any number of issues, or even chemistry may not exist. Because the other values would remain the same, changing one constant would more or less screw things up. But what if we were to change multiple constants at the same time? As this topic goes way over my head, I did some research and found the work of Anthony Aguirre, a theoretical cosmologist. He has a paper that describes the possibilities of other universes that are functional in similar ways to ours, but with different constants. A specific scenario he talks about is a cold Big Bang, where due to the different values, the universe had a Big Bang, expanded, created systems, all that good stuff. But rather than the Big Bang creating an incredibly hot early universe, it was cold. How cool is that? Get it? Yeah, I know. I'm not funny. The point here is that what we are discussing here is absolute amateurs, is Anthony's profession. It's what he spends his life doing, and he has proposed ways that changing the constants, multiple at the same time, would still result in a universe decently similar to our own.
Or, for example, take the expansion rate of the universe. If the expansion rate was larger, no galaxies would be able to form. But if it was smaller, the universe would collapse back on itself before stars were even formed.
A quick Google search reveals that this is just wrong. The expansion rate of the universe is not constant. It is accelerating, and we know this as several different types of observations demonstrate. Let's talk about just one. Type 1a supernovas. Type 1a supernovas come from a white dwarf star in a binary pair with another star. The white dwarf star is essentially a vampire that steals resources from its partner star until it exceeds the limit of its mass. This breach of its stability limit results in a supernova. Because of the makeup of a white dwarf, this supernova can only get so bright, and moreover, it stays consistently at that brightness for a while. This makes Type 1a supernovas standard candles, as no matter where they are, they shine the same. So when we observe one, we can find out how far away it is, as light redshifts do to the expansion of the universe. You know what we find when we examine this? The redshifting of light is not linear when paired with distance, which is what we would expect to find if the expansion rate was actually constant. God, I love astronomy. This is only one example of how we can demonstrate that the acceleration of the universe is actually expanding. I didn't even get to talk about gravitational waves acting as standard sirens, baryon acoustic oscillations, or different calculations. There's a bunch that goes into this. Also, I can't help but bring up something that I stumbled across while researching for this video. In the early universe, the electromagnetic force and the weak nuclear force were combined into a single force, the electroweak force. How cool is that? I had no idea that two different fundamental forces of nature could be combined. Science is freaking cool. What were we talking about again? Oh, right. Back to fine-tuning.
These are just two examples of the many constants we see with the fine-tuning of the universe. So now that it has been established that the universe is in fact fine-tuned.
No, it isn't. I'm actually going to skip the rest of his video, as he mostly just promotes more videos of his that aren't even out yet. But as always, the link is in the description to double check that I'm being honest. There's something I want to touch on though. Even if I was convinced the universe was fine-tuned, and it was the work of a designer, that gets you absolutely nowhere, because now we are left with a designer that we know nothing about. It could be a deistic god that made the universe and then noped on out of there. It could have been Marvel style. We could be a universe created by a child with stupid amounts of power. Even if I accept a designer, it doesn't get to your god, or even close to your god. Of course, we all know the real answer. As always, the immutable cosmic French press brewed everything into existence and has a personal relationship with every coffee drinker out there. Take it from me, partake of the press's life force, or be stuck in the dregs of the universe for all time. As always, this has been the Unholy Roast. Thank you for listening to my still small voice.